Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson. This is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Got a loaded show today. Why? Wolves, Wild, Gophers spring game, Vikings draft, and we have a busy week of guests. Actually, the next 2 weeks, I'm kind of excited about all the people because there's only 3 to 4 shows a week that we can do. So we got a lot of people coming up. So I want you guys to stick around. We got Merrill Hodge, we got Santana. No, I'll do that in the open. Hold on, sorry. 3, 2. Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Got a busy show today. We got Wild, we got Wolves, we got Gophers spring game, we got Vikings draft. We got to talk about it all, but we got to talk about something Charles Barkley said. Charles Barkley disrespected the Timberwolves. Was it warranted, or is he just being Charles Barkley? We'll talk about that next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, everyone, this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota, and this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Just visit FanDuel.com/Locked On to get started today, and you're going to want to get started because, if you're a betting person, and I hate to say this, Timberwolves fans, this is the time now to kind of look at these odds and figure out, is this the time to just bet on the Nuggets? Like, do I want guaranteed money? Or with the Timberwolves back up against the wall, will they find a way to push this to a game 6 and bring it back to Minnesota for one more home game of the season? You never know. And not one more. There could be, if they can win game 7, they can have more, but can they do it? So that's your decision. Go to FanDuel.com, check out the parlays, check out the straight up bets. If you're a betting person and you believe in the Timberwolves, the time is now. Now, if you don't believe in the Timberwolves, the time is also now because you can still bet on the Nuggets. But as I said, I'm Ron Johnson. This is Locked On Sports Minnesota, and this is the Ron Johnson Show. We are going to talk about the Timberwolves because, like I said in the open, Charles Barkley was a little bit disrespectful. We're going to talk about the Vikings draft. There's a lot of rumblings, I guess, about the Minnesota Vikings and what they're going to do and what some of these NFL teams are thinking. And so depending on what they're thinking and what their thoughts are, I do have a thought on what the Vikings should do. And this is why coaches get paid so much. This is why GMs get paid so much, because these are the tough decisions they have to make that could either make or break their franchise. Like, this could make them great and they could go on for years with a franchise guy, or they can pick the wrong guy and they're screwed for the next couple of years until they can figure out a way to fix it, whether it's the New York Jets trying to get Aaron Rodgers. Look what they did with Zach Wilson. Maybe that was a bad pick for them. A lot of these guys throwing from their knees 70 yards. I don't know if that's the way to go, but got to bring my producer, Sam Exerman, to the show. And I want you guys to remember, too, you can download Locked On Sports Minnesota's app on Amazon Fire and Roku. Just go to your Amazon Fire Roku device, search Locked On Sports Minnesota. You can get all of our videos, all of our shows. Well, Sam, I'm going to just ask you. Charles Barkley, I'm gonna pay the tease off early. Charles Barkley was very disrespectful. He said, I turned off the Timberwolves game. And now for Minnesota fans, I get this because you guys are hockey fans. And he said, I went to watch hockey. Now, for Minnesotans who are into hockey, now granted, the Wild did play earlier, which was great because normally they would have played the same time as the LA Kings, which would have been the same time as the Timberwolves. But the sports gods made it work out for Minnesota sports fans. Wild played at 5:30. Timberwolves turned around and played at 8:30. Wild lost. Should have had an opportunity. Kaprizov just could not find a way to score. I tweeted that the early breakout couldn't do it. So yes, hockey. Like, I watched the LA Kings, kind of the start of their game. Man, 3 goals within I don't know how long. I had to be only watching for like 10-15 minutes. They had 3 goals. So yes, it was exciting. And then you think about Connor McDavid and what you're hoping is going to happen with this Kings Rangers series, but Charles Barkley said he turned off the Timberwolves and started watching hockey. Now, I don't know if Charles Barkley really is a hockey fan. I don't know, because I'm never going to put that on anybody. But Auburn, Alabama, like coming from Alabama, I don't know if he's a hockey fan. I think he just really hates Karl-Anthony Towns' game. I think he thinks Kyle Anderson is extremely boring. And I think he thinks his Nuggets Timberwolves series should have been over last night. And we know that's Barkley. So in my opinion, that's disrespectful. But I mean, I'm gonna let the fans answer that question too. For those listening, those watching, jump on Twitter. It's 3 Ron Johnson on Twitter. It's Locked On MIN on Twitter. Sam Ekstrom on Twitter. Let us know what you think. Like, is Charles Barkley being disrespectful, or is he right? Was hockey a lot more exciting than watching the Timberwolves Nuggets? Even though, in my opinion, down the stretch, especially the fourth quarter going in OT, it was exciting. Now, it was annoying, but it was exciting. They were up 12 points. they let the Nuggets bring it back. Jokic could have won the game with 2 free throws. He misses, and then the Timberwolves taking overtime. Now, I don't know if the mob got to Joker and said, hey, send this to overtime. You better not win this. like a boxing match with Rocky or something. Like, hey, I got money on this. Missed this free throw. Like, I don't know, because he was hitting threes. He was shooting well, and he missed 1 free throw. Maybe the nerves got to him. Made the second. Timberwolves have a chance. They don't make it. They go to overtime. And then I did not think they would have it in overtime, but they did. Even with karl-Anthony Towns falling out, they still found a way. Anthony Edwards took over. Let's say, is Charles Barkley right, or is he just being Charles Barkley?
It has unfortunately become fashionable or cute to insult the Timberwolves nationally. And I think it's more of a TNT thing. And you know when it started, Ron? It started when Pat Bev jumped on the scores table last year, and they ripped him for that. And they ripped him for blowing leads throughout that Grizzlies series. And for these guys who never watched the Timberwolves in the regular season, they didn't watch them for a decade because they were never in the playoffs. So honestly, I think their only impression of the Wolves is sort of last year's playoffs and this year's playoffs. And the Wolves are rippable. The Wolves do a lot of dumb stuff. They complain about calls. They underachieve. Rudy Gobert is clumsy. Like, the Wolves are a punching bag. And when you get someone as unfiltered as Charles Barkley, he's going to let him have it. He's just going to go stream of consciousness and tell us what he thinks. I'm sure that he thinks the Wolves are dull and are stupid, which those guys are sort of the opinion setters in a lot of NBA circles. So it's unfortunate that they have to rip on our team, but the Wolves kind of bring it upon themselves sometimes. And even yesterday, Ron, they win. That could have been an impressive looking win. Instead, it's all about, they blew a 12-point lead in the last 2 minutes and had to hang on for dear life.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about that game. Again, yeah, you're right. They should have closed it out. Like, you're up 12 with 3 minutes to go, 3-ish minutes to go. Close that out. You take your time up the court. They missed early shots, and they let the Nuggets knock down 3 open threes back to back to back. Like, Michael Porter Jr. is ridiculous. This team can score in bunches. I apologize because I did not like the Nuggets to me, and maybe that's because we don't see them enough. But even like some of the highlights on SportsCenter, it was always just kind of blah. Like, it never felt. But Aaron Gordon, he's a bully when he needs to be. Michael Porter Jr., he can shoot. KCP, he can shoot. We already know Murray can fill up the bucket. And Jokic is just, he moves so slow, but he controls the game. Like, him at the top of the key is just like Joel Embiid. Like, he gets it started. He starts the offense. It goes through him. If Cat backs off or Rudy Gobert backs off, he's going to knock down a 3. If you press close, he's going to use that big body, hand it off, set the pick. If you get screwed up in the pick and roll, he's going to take your next guy. Like, but his moves are so slow, but he's just big and strong, and it's a tough guard. So, yeah, the Nuggets are a tough team. This is what I say, Sam. This is what I realize. It's no longer Cat's team. We have to find a way that Anthony Edwards always touches the ball, because when he's in a zone, but this is the other part of that. And this is where I look at like Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. Whenever LeBron wasn't feeling it, he would defer to Dwayne Wade. And that's where Anthony Edwards has to be. It has to be him first. And then when he's not feeling it, then he gets karl-Anthony Towns involved. Then he lets Michael Conley work the 2-man game with karl-Anthony Towns. But it has to be like an Anthony Edwards touch at some point. Do you have it? Go. Drive. Because athletically, nobody can really like power up with him when he gets going. It's when he forces it, like when he at the end of the game, when he tried to force the double team and didn't even get a shot off, he loses the ball. But when he can get that one-on-one and you could see he's about to either step back and hit a jumper, or he's going to fake the step back, crossover, sidestep and hit a shorter jumper, not the 3. That's when he's in his bag. That reminds me of when he played Bo Cruz. For those that don't remember that movie, Hustle. That's what I expected of Anthony Edwards. That the way he was talking to Bo Cruz, the way he was going at him, like, man, I'm the man. Who are you? Like, that's the Anthony Edwards they're gonna need if they're gonna win the next 3 games. I don't know if they can do it. It's never been done before. 149-0 is the team that went up 3-0 in a series in basketball and NBA playoffs, and they have never come back. So the Timberwolves are climbing a mountain nobody's ever been to. But hey, somebody had to get on the moon. Somebody had to climb Mount Everest. Somebody has to do it. There's always a first. Like, and the Timberwolves might be the first. Now, will they? Honestly, I don't know. I'm negative now because I've been in Minnesota and I think I drink too much water here. So I'm just negative. Like, I'm negative about some of these sports teams in the way big moments, they just don't come through. Like, you look at all the games so far with the Nuggets when they were up. Like, they were up the last game before this one in the third quarter. How can you not finish this out? Like, what is it that you just fall into these lulls? Like, are the Nuggets that good? Because I truly feel like if the Nuggets run up against the Lakers or the Grizzlies or the Kings even or the Warriors or the Suns, they can beat the Clippers. I don't think they can beat those other teams. Like, and that's just me. Maybe it's because I've been watching the playoffs and I'm starstruck a little bit by some of the movement within these teams. But I just don't feel like the Nuggets, like the way the Timberwolves are able to find leads here and there. Like, I don't know if the Nuggets can go because they don't match up the same with some of these other teams. When you think about Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, like, that's what the Timberwolves don't have is 2 perimeter scorers. You see Austin Rivers finally found it last night, but I don't know. I think Charles Barkley, like, you're right. I think Pat Bev, like, that was everybody in the world's introduction to Timberwolves basketball, and that just wasn't a great representation of what they stand for. Standing on tables, winning the play-in game, and then losing the first round, like, yeah, that's that, and they keep showing that face every time. They're like, oh, I wonder what the Timberwolves are doing right now. They show at TNT. You're right, TNT does this. They show Pat Bev run off the court crying.
It's a meme.
Oh man, it's
officially been memed.
It's I mean, like, crying like real crocodile tears, like they said, cat on the court kissing his wife. I mean, come on. It was like the end of Coach Carter or something. Like, what's going on? So I get it. They're an easy target. It's an easy punching bag. You're right, Sam. But we got to move on to a little bit of hockey talk. I mean, because Sam is the hockey guy, so I got to let him get his hockey talk off. But people, we have a loaded week. We got Jordan Reed from ESPN coming up, draft analyst. He's going to be on the show this week. We're going to have Terrell Smith, Gophers cornerback, who's heading into the draft. We got some other guys, Mo Ibram in the queue. We got Santana Moss. Now, we were going to air Santana Moss and get him on this week, but we don't want to muddy the waters with the draft and say he deserves his own week. So we're going to push his out to May. So the first week in May, please stay tuned for the Santana Moss interview. We talked about Sean Taylor's death. We talked about the Washington football team's value of $7 billion. We talked about the Dan Snyder, because I've always told this story to Sam, and I was blessed, I guess, because it's only happened. Santana says it's only happened like a couple times, like 2 or 3 times. So I just was lucky. The year I was there, Daniel Snyder pulls the helicopter up to the field. So it wasn't an everyday thing. So I'm glad he straightened me out, because in my mind, I'm like, this dude has to do this like every year. And it wasn't. Like, so I was lucky. I was lucky to see Daniel Snyder pull up like Bruce Wayne coming up to a party looking for the Joker. Like, that's what it felt like. But Santana Moss is going to tell us about, being under the ownership of Daniel Snyder, what he's done for that organization, that program, what he means to him. So there's a lot of public, I guess, Daniel Snyder comments, but I love the inside Daniel Snyder stuff that Santana Moss is going to share with us. So you're going to want to stick around for that. But also remember, people, we are a proud partner with Care 11. Go to care11.com/locked on to get all of our videos. And we have a word from our sponsors.
We're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook and the official partner of Locked On. How good is FanDuel? They set the over-under at 222.5 in the Denver, Minnesota game last night. How many points were scored? 222. That's how precise they are with the lines at FanDuel. If you're a new customer, you want to get in the action with NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, join now and claim a no-sweat first bet. Up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if the first bet doesn't win. Download the safe, secure FanDuel Sportsbook app and explore the hundreds of ways to wager. You can bet on just about anything you can imagine, and they got extra lines for the NBA playoffs. Check out the same game parlays, the same game parlay pluses for a chance at big payouts when you stack up those bets within the same game. And of course, that no sweat first bet, up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if the first bet doesn't win. FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Well, Sam, 2-2, Stars Wild. There were some early moments like Kaprizov on the breakaway, one-on-one with the kid from Lakeville between the pipes. Kaprizov could not score. Like, I thought he's going to do the triple deke maybe. I thought he was going to hit him with the Emilio Estevez or, go glove side or go stick side, be a show-off. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm tweeting about, because I saw Kevin Fiala got a goal for the LA Kings when I was watching, and I really didn't know the Kevin Fiala story. I just knew that name, and he was a Wild player at some point. And so I just tweeted, hey, why isn't he here? And some people said, well, he would disappear in the playoffs. He wanted $9 million. I don't even know what the dollar amount was, but some people are saying the money. They couldn't get him under the cap. He got a lot more money with the Kings and the Wild could pay him. But they also said that Kaprizov is doing his best Kevin Fiala playoff impression right now. Like, he has not scored. He has not shown up in big moments. And the start of that game was one. Like, I think if he scores that breakaway and really, left, right, I don't even know what the move would be. AB start. I'm talking about Contra now and the Nintendo. But if you think about Kaprizov, that should be a score. Like, that should be a goal. You're one-on-one on a breakaway. I mean, I'm thinking Michael Jordan on a fast break, LeBron James one-on-one on a fast break. Like, that's what Kaprizov should be. It should be a no-brainer. You're done. You're cooked. But the goalie, what is it? How you say Ostedler? Ottinger. There's a spell with there's too many letters in that name. But Ottinger, legit. Like, the kid was legit. Like, he was on his game, and he only gave up 2 goals. Now, Gustafson gave up 3. Now, again, but 24 of 21. 24 shots, 21 saves. I still feel like, and I saw the term on Twitter, the Gus bus. I still feel like we should be on the Gus bus because that's not a bad night. He didn't give up 7. He gave up 3. So I know people are like, oh, I wonder what Flower would have did, because I saw Dan Barrero tweet that, but he's been a jerk. He's trying to rile up the fans,
stir in the pot.
I bet the Flower would have stopped that. Like, shut up! You're trying to rile up the fans. I love Dan Barrero though, because that's what he does. He's a jerk. He loves to rile them up, and that's what you cannot do, because if you pull him and then start this other kid in game 5, pull the kid and start the vet in game 5, and he has a horrible game 5. Now you're down 3-2, and it's a must-win game. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to have a must-win game putting Gustafson back. I think Gustafson wins this next one. They go, and that's tomorrow. They play at 7. They go up 3-2, and then they win it in 6 at home. I think that's the way you do it. You win it in 6 at home, right? They're at home, right, for the next one?
Correct.
Yeah, so the next one's on the road, and then they come back home. So you win it. You don't want to go back to Dallas. You want to stay home. Let's finish it in 6. I think that's the recipe for success for this team. And then you get an extra rest because you don't have to play Sunday, April 30th. You get to relax, you get to rest and figure out. And I'm guessing they're going to play the Avalanche. Is that who's next?
The Avalanche are up 2-1 on the Kraken. Even though the Kraken have been plucky, the Avalanche are going to take control of that series. Yeah.
So then they would play the Avalanche. So yeah, that's just what I saw. I just saw a lot of missed opportunities. The Stars not stepping up. And that's the problem. Like, and then some of the calls, like, I don't understand some of the calls, like the cross-checking. I get it. The sticks up. You hit them maybe higher than you're supposed to or whatever. I don't know. But some of the, like, tripping and some of that stuff was just BS. Like, I just feel like the refs feel like because of the action after the play, like guy falls or guy flails, we got to call something. Just let them play. Like, just let them play. And I think that threw it off, because the power play, the special teams for the Wild, to me, did not look great. They didn't look like, I don't know what it is about the Stars and their special teams, but they're always in control. Like, they're getting breakaways and they're undermanned. Like, how are you getting a breakaway and you're undermanned? Like, you have more guys than them and you're chasing them down the ice. Like, that to me is baffling. Like, I don't understand that, because then flip it, when the Wild are trying to defend the power play, they're just skating for their lives. They're trying to, like, keep the puck in, out of the zone. Like, they are not attacking. Like, the Stars, to me, just they skate better. I don't know what it is. Like they maybe they're more confident. So were the Stars, or am I missing this? Were the Stars at one point in Minnesota?
Yep. So the North Stars, Minnesota North Stars, that franchise was moved to Dallas in the 90s, and then they quickly won a championship in Dallas, and people were very bitter, at the ownership, and it was a really messy situation. Yep.
Okay. So I do. Yeah, I thought that's what it was. Like I knew something Stars. I remember North. Okay, so North Stars. That makes a lot more sense now. Now they're the Dallas Stars, and so that's the championship. I guess the Wild should have had, or they would have been the Stars still at the time. But yeah. So I don't know. That's what I saw, Sam. I don't know. What did you see?
Yeah, you touched on a lot of the big storylines. So Kirill Kaprizov's quote unquote disappearance. I think a little overblown. I mean, he did score in game 1. I thought he had a lot of good scoring chances yesterday, which if you're putting yourself in those positions, that's about all you can ask. Like eventually that he'll convert more of those. I think if he's in those spots. The Wild as a team weren't very opportunistic yesterday until the very end. And it was too late. But if you play that game 3 more times, I think you win 2 of the next 3. Like I think you'd win this series because they did play a game where they controlled more of the tempo than Dallas. Their physicality actually got them in a little bit of trouble because of the officiating. Like Marcus Foligno trying to finish a couple checks, and he gets called for a couple of you use the word BS. Foligno used the real word after the game. Calls by the officials, which put them on the penalty kill, which, Ron, as you astutely pointed out, has been bad. The Wild have given up 7 power play goals in the series.
Wow. And
Gustafsson has only allowed 2 goals at even strength in 3 games that he started. He's given up 4 on the power play and 2 even strength goals. You can't put too much on the goaltender when he's always, facing these shorthanded situations. Yes, You'd like him to make a couple of these saves, but I think that's more on the Wild's penalty killing unit that they need to reduce the pressure. They need to clear the puck better. They need to keep guys out of those open areas. So that's on the Wild's penalty killing. They need to figure things out and lock it down. But the Wild, Ron, this is a theme of their franchise. They have never been a boot on the throat kind of team. They don't know how to slam the door when they have an advantage. Like they have never in their history had a 2-0 lead in a series. And again, they refused to do that this year. And I think they're like 3-14 all time in game 4s. And that trend continued yesterday. So they just can't really take control. And now they got to go on the road and play a good game. I think they can win. I think that they're the better of the 2 teams, to be honest with you. But it's up for grabs. It seems like a pretty even series right now.
Yeah, when you think about the power kill, so the power player, for instance, in your opinion, when you think about Foligno, because I saw the one where he kind of went in front. So what was even that call? He went in front of the guy, kind of missed and whiffed. He like slams into the boards or something, and he gets the penalty. What was that? Were they saying he tripped the guy, or what?
That was a tripping call, and it was very, very suspicious.
Right, because he went in front of the guy and missed the guy. So how was that tripping? And because the guy stopped on a dime, like he missed him. So I'm like, how do you call tripping on that? And he's almost about to break his neck into the boards. Like,
yeah,
that to me was just...
it was almost, if he had actually hit him the way he wanted to hit him, it certainly wouldn't have been a trip, and it probably wouldn't have been anything. It was just so awkward looking that maybe the official saw it out of the corner of his eye and thought that there was a tripping action there. Because it didn't look like a clean hockey play. And it was weird because that happened, and then Foligno's bleeding from his nose, and they went to commercial. He got hit with
a stick. Yep.
And they went to commercial, and you thought, oh man, the Wild might be getting a power play. He's bleeding. They might get 4 minutes here. And then he was the guy in the box. It was really bizarre. And yeah, he let the officials have it after the game. So we'll see how that affects maybe game 5 if there's any kind of compensation by the officiating.
Yeah, because that's what I saw. I'm like, and I didn't know if there was a rule that when you come off the bench, because he came off it was a change, and he came right off the bench and went after the guy. So I didn't know if there's like a rule, like you have to want the complete change has to happen first before you're allowed to do that. Like, because I know there's a lot of small little rules within hockey, but I was really like, that one was weird to me because I know I saw him come off the board or whatever you call it, come from off the bench on a change, and then he went right towards the guy and kind of from behind almost. But it was like Spidey sense. The guy just stopped on a dime and like felt him coming. Like, I can feel you. I hear you. He stopped, and Foligno just went flying. And that's why I thought the tripping was on the other guy for stopping and tripping him. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, no, it's on him. And he got hit in the face with the guy's stick too. Like, the guy raised his arms up to like say Olay, and his stick hit him in the nose. And yeah, it was that to me was that's the one where if I'm the refs, I talk and I say, you know what? No, like, let's just let it go. It didn't affect the game in any way. Like, he got hit with the stick. He stopped on the dime. Both of them were kind of awkward. Let's let them play full strength. But no, they put him in the box, and the Wild, like, that's just another opportunity for them to make the Wild skate and be tired, because you're literally five guys. Is it four guys chasing five? Is that what it is?
On the penalty kill?
Yeah. It's 4 versus 5, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you got 4 guys chasing 5 around. And again, I don't know how the Stars do it. They are constantly on the attack, even when they're in the penalty kill. Like, they're trying to, like, they're trying to find creases. They're like, look, if this guy lose the puck, let's go. And they're taking off. And then now the Wild are on the defensive. It's like, how does this happen? It's 4-on-5. Like, 2 of you just go jump a guy, like, and then make it 3-on-3. Like, come up with some play. I don't know what special teams plays these guys come up with, but I mean, I'm new to hockey. That's what I would do. I would say 2 of you go get the best guy, you bully him, keep him out of this, and then let's skate 3-on-3 and see it. Because I think 3-on-3 was the original overtime during regular season, right? Isn't that what it was?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know how the Wild did in those 3-on-3 overtimes. Maybe that's not a recipe for their success, but like, you got to do something. So, but we got to move on because we still got to talk Gophers spring game. Like, I enjoyed my time there. It was some good stuff going on down there. Ran into some players, talked to some coaches. And again, this season, and again, Deion Sanders facing this too. So I gotta talk about that. Like, what I saw at the Gophers spring game, what I heard, and then what I'm seeing in Colorado, it's all about the same. The biggest difference, Minnesota fans are really, 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 really fickle. And they love to, like, you got some that are on the boat, and you got some that love to see the boat sink. But we'll talk about that next, coming up in the Daily 3 with myself and Sam. But remember, you can check out the Minnesota Football Party 4 days a week from Monday to Thursday. Get your Vikings fix with Arif Hassan, Luke Inman, Luke Brown, Sam Ekstrom on Locked On Sports Minnesota. And we have a word from our sponsors.
Yeah, let's talk about the NFL Draft Buzz newsletter authored by our own Luke Inman here. It is draft week, which means it is your last chance to get pre-draft analysis from NFL Draft Buzz. That's Luke's newsletter. You can subscribe at lockedonpodcast.com/newsletters. Get the latest draft news, top 5 lists, and links to other Locked On Draft content. Check it out today. NFL Draft Buzz newsletter.
Well, now it's time for the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. Take it away, Sam.
It's draft week, Ron, which means the Vikings are on the clock in 3 days. A lot of steam coming out. I saw Peter King mocking Anthony Richardson to the Vikings at 23. That would be wild. But Ron, I'm sure you've thought about this a lot. What's a bold take that you have about the upcoming Vikings draft?
I mean, it's not bold. My take on the Vikings draft, and I don't know why I keep feeling this, but I just feel like the Vikings are going to trade back and get a 2nd and a 3rd round pick. I just feel like that's the best way to build this team up. When you look at the pieces of the puzzle that are missing and the immediate needs. Now, again, this is if you're going to build now and you're not worried about, 5 years from now, building now is getting you a cornerback in the 2nd round. And you look at the number of cornerbacks out there that could help this team. You look at like a lot of, like, because I feel like with Byron Murphy, Caleb Evans, Andrew Booth Jr., I still think Andrew Booth Jr. can be good. Like, I watched his tape. I think he can be good. I just think that we haven't seen what he can do because he was hurt. He hasn't been healthy. But Caleb Evans, to me, I think he is he's a starting cornerback in the NFL. Like, his size, his length. Byron Murphy is your nickel, your outside corner. Maybe if you can get Joey Porter Jr., but I don't feel like he's going to be there. But there's a lot of other cornerbacks. I mean, even if you were to go Terrell Smith, again, late, that's a guy that can come in and probably help you out on special teams and be a guy that's going to be there. Terrell Smith was solid for the Gophers. He's bulked up. He's running fast. He's a guy that stays on the field, wasn't hurt, and I think that's the key. There's been a lot of times Minnesota balked on Minnesota corners, and those guys, like, they could have had Benjamin St-Juste. He's a starting cornerback for the Washington Commanders. Like, you could have had that guy, 6'3", long, can cover. He's basically could be the guy. He could have been the guy opposite Patrick Peterson. He's stronger. He's more durable than Cam Dantzler. Like, that could have been your guy. But for some reason, a lot of times the Vikings balked on a lot of balked. I don't know, on a lot of Gophers deal guys. You look at Antoine Winfield. He could have been a guy. They didn't go get him. You know, he could have been a guy right now next to Harry, because we were always wondering who's going to be. He could have been there. He can cover in the slot. But again, my bold prediction is they trade back. That's not bold, but I do feel like you trade back. You try to get a corner in the second and the third, maybe, if you think you need to. The other bold one, and this is if he's there, I do say go get Anthony Richardson. The only reason I say that is because right now the Seahawks are thinking about getting him, and I forgot the other team, but the Seahawks' reasoning is he can sit behind Geno Smith. I think the Vikings should have that same. If he's there at 23, you go get him, because he can sit and learn behind Kirk Cousins. You don't have to force this young guy into the fire. You can train him up. You can work with him. 6'4", 244 pounds. I mean, he's a man. He's a grown man. Like, and he can run. So then now you have a dual threat quarterback who's strong, and you can create this offense. So that's my bold. I say go get him if he's there, just because he can sit behind Kirk Cousins. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that a lot of people are enamored with quarterback and wide receiver and cornerback, and rightfully so. Those are the sexy positions. I would say that the Vikings could very well trade back, like you said, and take a defensive lineman with their first overall pick. I think that's going under discussed, that they don't really have a lot of prospects at defensive tackle.
True.
They've got a couple of defensive ends that have uncertain futures. We still don't know what's happening with Za'Darius, and Daniil's in a contract year. So I think that edge and interior defensive line are huge areas of need. And I wouldn't be surprised if they took like a Kalijah Cansey or a Brian Bresee in the first round if they traded back.
I will say that's a good one. And my Vikings inside source, we had a conversation, and he brought up that you look at a lot of the NFL teams over the years and what makes them successful. It's been upfront play. You look at the Steelers, they always kept bigs. You look at the Ravens, they always kept bigs. You look at the 49ers, they always kept the defense. That was kind of their calling card. He said, look at the Broncos, same thing. They would always go after, they had D linemen that can get after the quarterback. You look at the Eagles now, they're constantly doing it. You look at the Rams, Aaron Donald. So I do like that, because that's something. You're right. The Vikings don't have a dominant middle guy to just create havoc. Like, it's been a while since they just, since the Kevin Williams and the Williams wall, like you're right. Like that's the key to it. The problem with the Williams wall is they were there. They ran into that was the juggernaut years of the NFL though, where you had a lot, they ran into a lot of good teams, where you fast forward that Williams wall to now. With this offense, it's probably a Super Bowl caliber team. Like, legit. Like, with Justin Jefferson and then that defense, Chad Greenway, yeah, it's a Super Bowl caliber team. But, that it is what it is. What you got next?
Yeah, let's do the Gophers question. You're wearing the Gophers long sleeve. You were at the spring game indoors on Saturday. I was at the gym on the treadmill. I saw it on Big Ten Network, trying to get a glimpse of Eighth and Kaliakmanis. But what were your major takeaways from the spring game?
Oh, man. So that kid, the transfer in kid, number 11, he's a beast. He's a beast. Lemeki Brockington, he's a beast. I did. This was funny about Brockington. I sent him a tweet or a DM. Sorry, this had to be last year sometime. And it was, I don't know what game I was watching, but I was like, hey, man, you got it. You have it. Just don't make any mistakes. Stay locked in, because I know, like, with all these players and all these people, because he wasn't the guy. Like they had Michael Brown-Stevens in front of him, they had Daniel Jackson in front of him, they had all these guys in front of him, and I hate when I see that sometimes because players like Colorado, and I'll pay that tease off. Players like to leave, like when they feel like, you know what, I can be better somewhere else. I'm out of here. He stuck around, and now you see like with him, Chris Altman-Bell, the two transfers, Corey Kroom, like they are going to be good. They're Elijah Spencer, Elijah Spencer. That's the guy, number 11. They are going to be good. Like that 4 receivers there, Ethan Kaligmanis, like he just has to not make mistakes and work on his small technique stuff. They're going to be good. Like and then the Zach Evans, like he's strong, he's fast. You got Tyler Newman's little brother as a second running back. They're going to be good. Like the biggest question mark for this team now is replacing some of these defensive pieces they lost. But man, that front 4, like, and we got to get D Labodere on, because that D line, man, they have some beasts. They have some big boys in there. And it was just fun to be there though. That was my takeaway though. Like the energy was in there. The players were having fun. They were competing. It was full go. I do like that, because a lot of times like you actually get hurt not going full speed, like trying to pull up. You can't hit the quarterback, but everybody else was full go tackle hit. And so it's fun to see. I ran into Matt Spade, so he's going to come on the show. Adam Weber, John Hazy. So we were all talking, you know, about the stuff, about the team, and about how big the guys look compared to, like, we were big, but then you forget like you were big, because you see these guys like, man, he's some big kids. And then you look back like, oh, wait, this guy's only 220 pounds, or he's on 212 pounds. Like Chris Altman-Bell to me looks big. And I'm like, how much you weigh? He's like, oh, I'm about 207. I'm like, damn, I was 230. Like I looked way bigger than you. Like what in the world, you know? But I just didn't. You don't see it. Like it's. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that's called when you can't see yourself as big as you see these other guys. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been amazing to watch this growth. And again, to pay off the tease about Deion Sanders, you see a lot of players transferring from Colorado because Deion said, if you don't want to work, you're not going to be here. And I think that's where people forget. Like you see guys exit PJ Fleck's program. That's nothing to do with PJ. That's on them. That's because they see the competition getting bought in. Like Chris Altman-Bell could have saw all these new receivers come in and be like, oh man, I'm not staying here for a 7th year. But he knows, one, he can still be the leader of this group. And these other guys are going to help him, because now you can't double team Crab. Crab's going to go back to his days with Tyler Johnson and Rashad Bateman. Like when you have 3 other good receivers, you can't just double Crab. So that's what I saw. I saw a big opportunity for this team. They just have to stay healthy. What did you see on TV?
Yeah, not much. I didn't catch much. I was a long ways away from the TV. I guess it's a little disappointing that it ends up being inside. It's how many years in a row they had to kick it inside because of weather?
Like 2 out of the last 3, I think.
You lose a lot of atmosphere compared to like what Colorado had.
Correct.
With Deion packing the house with 66,000 fans.
It was 32 degrees though, Sam. It was freezing.
Oh, I know. No, it would have been miserable. It would have been miserable. Trust me. I went to the Twins game yesterday. That was cool.
And at 32 though, this is the crazy thing. If PJ had left it outside, he would have had 5,000 people show up. You know, like people would have been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna just watch this on TV. It's a little cold out there. Like you would have had 5,000 people show up, and then you would have had the negative Nellies, you know, posting that. Oh, look at the Gopher spring game compared to Deion. Like, what are we doing? PJ's a fraud. You know, like, yeah, he can't win.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean on you for my Gophers offseason analysis, because I don't know. I don't follow it quite as closely day to day. So you're telling me that the wide receiver crew is going to come together. Chris Altman-Bell is going to be the leader of the group. I guess my biggest question mark is Ethan. Like, is he going to take that next step to be able to get them the football? That to me is everything. Like that, the whole offense hinges on that.
Yeah, and his growth is going to come in the next couple of days. Like, I mean, next couple of weeks. So he's got to get ready for that July, because May and June. So that couple of weeks in May and June, he's got to really take that time, because they're called captain's practices. Like coaches are not supposed to be there. So he's got to take that time to get to know all these new receivers like together. And Chris Altman-Bell said he's cleared to start camp, so he'll be running. He says he's about 90% right now, you know, and just playing it safe. The other guy, Corey Kroom, didn't play either in the spring game just to be safe. You know, Brevin Spanford, you know, and I was joking with Adam Weber. I'm like, man, I wish I wouldn't have played my senior year of spring, because that's when I got hurt. Like that was my first injury. I got hurt my senior year doing spring ball, just trying to, you know, be a captain, be out there, keep Glenn Mason, showing I want to be there because it was guaranteed going to the draft because I could have went as a junior, and I got hurt. And so I wish I did what Corey Kroom did, which is basically learn, run, be around the guys. But no, you're not tackling me. You're not hitting me. Stay off my legs. Let's get ready for the season. Because I had a decent senior year, but I know I started it off limping. Like I started off with a knee injury, had an MCL, PCL sprain. And just wasn't the start of the year I thought it should have been. But yeah, it was good to see the team taking care of their guys they know are going to be there and play. I think the Elijah Spencer guy coming out of Charlotte, he had to play just to get familiar with it and say, hey, but Corey Kroom's earned it. I think 1,200 yards at Western Michigan. So they're like, look, we know what you can do. So no, it was good to be there. Though. It was a good day. What we got last one? What's the last one?
Yep, last one. We're about halfway through the first round of the NBA playoffs. I know you've been paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an official finals prediction now that you've gotten a glimpse at all these teams?
Man, you know what? I did at one point. I'm thrown because of injury. So when you look at the East, my Bucks Sixers, that's where I was thinking it's going to be Bucks Sixers somehow, some way. You look at the Celtics are finally starting to get it under control. But the biggest problem I'm finding is injury, like Joel Embiid's knee. The Greek Freak's back. That's what's his name? Had the mask. Jaylen Brown got hit, had a face fracture or something. I don't know. Like injury is setting these teams back. And that's the tough thing about this whole bit. Like even in the West, you got Kawhi Leonard now out. So it looks like the Suns are going to win this because they play tomorrow. So it looks like the Suns could close this out tomorrow because they're up 3-1. Kawhi Leonard, there's no timetable on him coming back. Paul George is out. He wasn't playing in the first round anyway. So yeah, I think the Suns, my dark horse is the Warriors. I mean, it's not a dark horse, but I just feel like the Warriors now, you see Steph Curry starting to get it going, him and Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson. Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson have 48. Like, come on. Like, the Timberwolves would die for two players to give them 48 other than a star because Steph's the star. You got Jordan Poole and Klay giving you 48. You got Steph just unguardable. So I do like the Warriors Suns. I think that would be a good matchup with KD and Devin Booker. Like, that would be scoring on top of scoring on top of scoring. If the world could do it right, they would want that to be the whole NBA championship series. But I think either Suns right now, in my opinion, Suns or Warriors. And then from the East, I think the Bucks or the 76ers. Like, I do like the way the 76ers play. But again, it comes down to Joel Embiid being healthy because James Harden is legit. Maxey is legit. Embiid is unguardable, but his knee, like, he has to stay healthy. And that's going to be my thoughts on that. What have you seen so far from the NBA playoffs? You're
still sleeping on the Nuggets, huh? You don't think the Nuggets
I don't know.
Come out of the West?
I'm starting to hate the Nuggets like I hate the Grizzlies, though. So maybe that's why. Like,
Grizzlies are on the ropes. Like this, the Grizzlies are fighting for their life tonight.
I know.
As are the Bucks. Like tonight
I'm so sick of these late games, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
it's
the Bucks. If the Bucks lose, that's why I'm leaning. That's why I said the 76ers. Like, I just feel like with these injuries and the way these teams are playing, it was another sneaky one though. The Knicks. Like, the Knicks riding, what's his name? Spike Lee's energy in the city. Like, they had to shut down 7th Ave in New York because the fans were celebrating and yelling at Donovan Mitchell. Because Donovan Mitchell, I remember, could have been a Knick, but he chose I don't remember what he said about why he didn't choose New York. But he chose the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they are in the playoffs though. Like, they are the better seed. So don't act like him choosing the Cavs was a bad choice. It's just the Knicks with the trade. It got it going. And Julius Randle. Everybody's getting it going right now. Like, everybody's getting it going. And not Julius Randle. Wait, is that Julius Randle?
Julius Randle on the Knicks, yep.
Yeah, the left-handed dude. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, they're getting it going right now. But Brunson is just Brunson. I mean, he's playing better than anybody could imagine. And I think that's the biggest thing with him. But yes, I'm sleeping on the Nuggets. I am. I'm sleeping on the Nuggets. I don't like the Grizzlies to go far. I hope the Lakers, put their foot on their throat again tonight. Last one before we get out of here too. Dylan Brooks annoys me because today he came out and said, like, the media made me a villain. What? No, you made you a villain. Like, talk about the media. The media hates me. The Lakers fans, they were booing me and making me out to be a villain. Like,
the media reported what you said,
right? And that's why I love what J.R. Smith responded on Instagram to SportsCenter's, like, it was a SportsCenter thing, and he's like, no, take some accountability. You did this to you. Like, you could have kept your mouth shut and said, LeBron's a great player. I'm excited to play him. I'm witnessing greatness. No, he's old. You got to give me 40. I poke bears. No, you poke balls. That's what you did. You poked them in the balls. You didn't poke the bear. You poked the bear's balls. And then you lost. And so, like, you play stupid games, you get a stupid prize. So, yeah, you can't say the media made you out to be a villain. You made you out to be a villain. So that's why I do hope the Lakers can close it out, because I'm sick of the LeBron haters too, because everybody wants to talk about Jordan, what he did at 38, 39 in the playoffs for the Wizards, and what LeBron's doing. It's like, come on, man. Jordan was fighting for his life with the Wizards. LeBron's trying to win a championship. Like, stop it. Stop. Like, Jordan is the greatest. Yes, we know that. Like, let's stop comparing it. Different eras. Jordan's the greatest of his time. LeBron's the greatest of his time. Let's move on. The sad thing about it is, we keep saying this, I don't feel like there's another person after LeBron is going to keep the NBA going like this right now. Like, I don't know if Victor's the guy. Like, I don't know who the guy is. I don't know if it's the kid out of Alabama. I don't know if this is a 16-year-old kid that everybody's talking about now playing 16U basketball. He's like 6'9". He looks like Jokic, but can move faster. Like, I don't know. I don't know who's going to carry the NBA, Sam, but we keep talking about LeBron. When he decides to walk off that court after him and Bronny get a chance to play together finally, we're going to be sad. Like, we were sad for Jordan, but we had Iverson, we had Kobe, we had Shaq. We had a lot of guys then. There's not a lot of guys in the NBA right now. Like, I mean, you got the Greek Freak, you got Kevin Durant, you got Devin Booker, but I don't know if those guys can be what LeBron has been to the world of basketball, because LeBron has been what Michael Jordan was. And so I don't know if there's going to be another player that's going to captivate us the way LeBron did. But yeah, we should talk about that Friday. That's a Friday. Let's roundtable that one.
Love it.
Like, who would our guy be? Who would you, if you had to pick? You have to pick a guy, because we can't say nobody. But if you had to pick a guy that's going to carry on the NBA like LeBron, it could be a guy we don't even know about. It could be Victor. Who would it be? Could Chet Holmgren? No, probably not. But who would it be? But I don't know, Sam. I enjoyed today's show. And yeah, I mean, like I said, that movie with Bo Cruz, I did like. I mean, maybe he's the next Space Jams guy. Like, he seems like a good actor. He seems like he has his acting down. So Anthony Edwards in Space Jam 3, I would watch that, because Anthony Edwards was I don't know his lines. He didn't have a ton of lines, and it was all basketball stuff. But I thought he did a great job acting. I don't know, but and I'm ready to. I mean, because just like Dan Patrick, like, if there's a movie with Anthony Edwards, I think I should be in it. I think we should be in it at some capacity, whether we're the sports commentators for the Anthony Edwards game when he gets sucked into the Matrix and ends up in Toontown. That should be us. Give us 1 to 2 minutes like Dan Patrick gets in all these movies with Adam Sandler. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Remember, people, you can subscribe to Locked On Sports Minnesota on YouTube. We can get all of our videos, all of our shows. It's free to subscribe. You just have to have an email address. Go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Also, wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartMedia app, wherever it is, make sure you search Locked On Sports Minnesota and hit the follow button there as well. You'll get all the updates every time we upload a show. And again, we have a busy week with the draft week this week, so you're not going to miss that. Have a great day.